No, it's recording.
I can't even. My email thing, I couldn't.
Yeah, that's cool.
Charging.
It's kind of like kids. This one, you can buy a charger. I have a thing set up around one.
I sent a text to Julie and I said, hey, put my school computer on the charger. She's like, I'm not home. And I said, all right.
You gotta lay that.
They don't have an extension cord over there? That's what we do in class. We just...
That's right there. It's already plugged in.
Hey, Lance is your guy.
No,
Are we too embarrassed to ask them?
Then he really would have been gone. That he was a strike is
You got the whole crew, huh? Oh, yeah. You get us all tonight. You guys make, I get all of it? Yeah, if you get any questions, just give them him, though. We're gonna watch him. We're gonna see if he just sinks down to the bottom. Yeah, we thought we'd come tonight. We was coming down for house guys. No, we don't have a lot before you guys. It'll be in the group of St. James. We've got a group of FFA that's going to talk about work and so
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excuse me. I'd like to welcome everybody for coming and thank you. I apologize for my croup and hack and cough. I'll try not to give it to too many people. I've lost my computer. Okay. All right. First thing up, we have consent agenda.
Just one comment on consent. Dr. Reedus has included the district curriculum guide. Again, this is a first reading. We have to approve this prior to the end of the school year, but due to its massive length and a guide, we wanted to give it to you this month, allow you to read through it, and then it'll be back in consent agenda again next month for final approval.
Okay. Anybody have anything consent that maybe pulled out or anything?
Move we approve consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Next is, excuse me, Education Spotlight, Mr. Jim Spencer and students.
I brought with me 3 students, and you kind of know who they are, I guess, when they get done. But Hayden Fisher, Tanner Snelly, and then Colton Spencer, and I'm missing one with a change because he had work. He took off Monday and couldn't get it switched after the change of meeting. So I'll let Hayden start.
Okay, well, we're members of the 2016 livestock judging team, and a little bit about Aurora Livestock. Over the past 15 years, we've had a team qualify and compete in major national contests, such as Louisville, Indianapolis, Purdue, and West Lafayette, Indiana, as well as the Premier Stockman in Indiana, and then we've gone to Denver and Kansas City. And in the last 10 years, we've consecutively represented Missouri FFA at these national contests. This means that Aurora FFA teams have either won state championships or been second and third for the past 10 years. There are only 6 districts in the Missouri FFA Association, and we're in the Southwest District, and we've won 10 district livestock championships during the same time.
A little more information on that from my standpoint, I guess, as a teacher. I've had 10 students who've earned college scholarships to judge at junior college and senior college level, totaling approximately $125,000 that they earned towards paying their college degree. With all the career development since 1998, I've had 10 state championships, 14 reserve state championships, and 8 third place teams. And then I've had 3 teams that have earned the right to attend this Royal Highland that we're going to talk about a little bit more in a minute.
All right, my part of this is to explain what we do in contests because a lot of people don't really know what all it entails. So basically what we do, whether we started off last spring at early morning Saturday contests and built our way up eventually to state, to this national competition. But at each contest, we have at least 4 species of different animals, of livestock that we judge and evaluate ourselves. And then we place the animals from first, second, third, and fourth because there's 4 each class, and we can have a number of different classes. I think in Denver we had 12 classes, and then we'll give a set of oral reasons on those classes, which is just that we memorize, and then we go out and say our viewpoints on each animal and what we think. And then on top of that, also, we didn't do this in our national female competition, but in state and local competitions, there's USDA grading is also involved in it, which is like yield grade or whatever, where you're finding out what better cuts of meat there are, how cattle grade better in the market.
So now Colton's going to give a set of reasons if you'd like to hear a set of reasons. Do you want to talk to one in particular?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll give, Sarah mentioned we give oral reasons. At Denver, we gave 6 sets, I think, out of our, so half the classes we judged, we had to give a set of oral reasons. Tonight, I kind of worked up a set of heifers that we had, or that I gave last year, so I'll go ahead and give those.
I like today's class of heifers, 1, 2, 3, 4. Stepping out on today's class, I was presented with a tough, competitive top pair of profitable mature cows. But I found the red female to bring forth unrivaled combination in terms of her skeletal dimension and her view from the profile. She's a nice, balanced, sounder-made, broodier-appearing female who is simply the most organized in her skeletal dimension. She got out and worked with more angularity out of both ends of her skeleton. Quite frankly, at the end of the day, this is a female that's going to reduce cow costs within the herd. She's going to offer a longer pasture life. Now, I admit that 2 is longer and more extended from her shoulder forward, but today I left her in a safe second, and she was a shorter, more compact individual. But to me, there's no denying this 2 female was a cool one to look at. She'll be beneficial to any operation. She's a nice, balanced, well-designed female who is longer and leveler down her top. She continued to impress as she tied in near through her shoulder and took a longer and more athletic stride when set in motion. Now, I will admit that 3 is a stouter appearing individual who is thicker through her hip, but today she's flatter sided, so I left her in 3rd. But it leaves me no doubt that this female is going to infuse some width and power within her future generations of offspring, as she started square at the ground and opened up more width through her chest, facilitating her definite advantage in topside dimension. She continues to impress as I step in behind her. She's wider from stifle to stifle and thicker through her quarter. Now, I admit that the 4th female, that sits in last, could be beneficial to replacement operations. She was the bigger bone female, but today she's narrow base, flat-sided, and light muscle, so I was forced to leave her 4th. Thank you.
So, to go in then a little more, I guess, about why we're here, Dr. Shaw just said he wanted a little bit of information about the team, and then how we got to the point that these guys are at. And I didn't say Taylor's name a while ago. Taylor Yannick is the other student that's part of this team that wasn't able to be here tonight because of work schedule. But these guys then, along with Taylor, competed at Denver then in January. To get to that level means that they were 2nd at state in April last year. So if you win, you go to National FA contest. If you're 2nd in livestock, you go to Denver. If you're 3rd, you go to the American Royal. So it's don't get to pick, so to speak. But anyway, so Denver was where they earned the right, I guess, in April last year, but you don't go till January the next year. So we kind of just took time off, obviously, over the summer and through the fall, and then I kind of just pick about 6-8 weeks, just like we do in the spring, before the contest is actually going to be here, and kind of get going again, so to speak, and get them back in the groove as far as placing and judging and getting the reasons back in that type of a shape there of what you heard. So they worked really hard last fall, in my opinion, obviously, to bring honor to not just the school but the community. And I guess we put a little pressure on ourselves, and we have for a long time, as far as if we're in that position that we're also representing Missouri FFA, because we're the team that earned the right through the state contest to go. So that puts a little more pressure on, I guess, from that standpoint. But these guys placed as a team no lower than 5th in any contest that they ever competed in last spring. They placed in the top 3 6 times. They were district champions in the Southwest District that Hayden described. Individually, they're responsible for 22 top 10 awards. They're only one of 3 livestock teams in the 82-year history of the FFA chapter to have placed in the top 3 at the Missouri Department of Agriculture grading contest, which is held on the campus of MU. They're an elite company of only 5 livestock teams representing the Aurora chapter to have earned a national rating of gold at the National Livestock Contest. And then in Denver that they competed in, they placed in the top 5 in 6 of the categories, or in 5 of the 6 categories, which included beef, swine, goats, oral reasons, and then they received 4th place overall. The team members then earned 8 different individual honors, including champion swine, which was Hayden, champion swine individual, which means they were the high individual in that division in the entire contest, was Colton. And then both of them ended up, I think, in the top 10 there at the end. You had some others on reasons. Both of them were in the top 10 in reasons as well. So their accomplishment basically got them an invitation to go to Scotland to the Royal Highland Livestock Judging Contest, and it's also a tour after the contest is concluded. Then they go through a tour as well. And that is just, we got that invitation after being home a couple weeks, I think. It was towards the 3rd week of January. We competed there that 1st week of January once we got back into school. To be able to attend the tour and the contest, it's approximately $5,000 a student for a total of $20,000. So what we've been doing since January, when I met with Dr. Shaw, to make sure we were okay to go, if I got to my target, is we've been filling out, sorry, lost my deal. Grants, there we go. We've been, yeah, here we go, it's on down here. We've been filling out grant applications through major ag corporations. I've pestered every salesman that has a regional director, a regional manager, or anything like that, from any vet supplies companies, feed, nutrients, those types of things. And then we've also done programs within the community here as requested by some of the civic groups to request some assistance to help with that. And when I met with Dr. Shaw about 3 weeks ago, I asked him if I got the $16,000, if I could come in front of the school board and see if we could finish it as $1,000 apiece for each student to finish that off. And I'm at $15,948, so I'm $52 away as of today. So that was our request, is that if you guys would finish it for the students at $1,000 per student, then that would get us at our target of what we needed to do.
So might we have to give you the $52 so you get the 16,000?
No,
Because you
that's
don't
okay.
qualify otherwise.
We'll make it. We'll make do. But I don't have all that in hand, but that is all, I mean, all of that is spoken for, I guess I would say. I got a $2,000 grant from MFA that I haven't got a check for them yet. They met 2 weeks ago though, and Ms. Cope's husband's on the board, and so he called us and told us we got it. So, any questions, we'd be glad to attempt to answer. Hagan would love to give you a set of reasons.
So that's like when you go as a team to the judging, all four of you have to give a set of reasons, just like?
Oh, yeah.
They had to give
3
6.
sets.
Yeah, we
They had to give 6 at Denver.
on the Saturday ones in Missouri, we each gave about 3 sets probably apiece, so that's 12 as a team, I guess. If you
So
wanna
you're
add
just
that.
not the chosen spoken one out of the team?
Yeah,
You all have to do it.
I dreamed that up over the weekend, and I figured it was easier living with him than calling and asking Hayden, because Hayden absolutely hates reasons. She's probably one of the best ones I've ever had.
Yeah.
No offense, guys. She knows she's good at it, she just hates to do it.
Well, speaking for the board, I know we're extremely proud of all you guys. I think it's awesome what you guys have accomplished, not just you guys, but even 10 years back. So, I mean, I know we're all very proud of you.
Kind of a dynasty there.
Pardon me?
Kind of a dynasty.
I'd say. Next year, they've got some bigger shoes to fill, don't they?
I think the pressure would be on every year at this point in time, you know, it's like who's gonna be the ones that, you know, nobody's gonna be the ones that drop the ball, right?
No? That trip to Scotland was kind of hard to try.
Well, and that was the thing, they were pretty heartbroken, I guess, in April when they got second, because that was a goal that they had, was obviously to win state first, because they thought that that was the only possible way to get it. But the way that it's selected is that they select the top teams from the National FA contest and as well as Denver. So you have the 2 options. They don't select from the Royals. So if we'd have been third, we would have not had that option possibly. But I informed them of that Monday, so they were a little better off once we got back Monday.
Yeah, I move we approve the additional funding to take them to their goal, to take the trip to Scotland.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Looks like you're going to Scotland.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Best of luck. Hayden, I want a souvenir.
I'll get you some.
Killed. John Bell.
Let me rethink that.
There you go. Black girl. I might pick up that.
Yeah, that's where my family's from, Scotland. I think
I can't say it.
time to go back to
Glad we're warm there, but I better leave that dog alone. Okay, now, old business, student drug testing. Did it?
No, you don't have an update.
I don't have an idea. Clear. High school athletic facilities, sorry.
Okay, so in your packet, we've got the most updated numbers that I got from Joe, and by the way, Don is here. If you want to just raise your hand, Don's the board, CJ, and Joe and Josh, right? Okay, with ATG. And so Joe and Don have been working on these numbers after the last time we met a couple weeks ago. And so in front of you, if you look at the 3rd page on that particular proposal, the numbers I want to highlight is you'll see the base bid of, and the base bid represents the softball, baseball combination field of $490,000. It has a few base bid breakouts. That's not added to that, that's part of it. If you go to the final page, you will see then the alternate items that was agreed upon at the last meeting. The logo on the turf, you've got the bullpens, the lighting for the ball field, the baseball scoreboard, the concrete that's needed for different areas outside the park, the tennis courts, and then also the lighting for the tennis courts. What's not included in that, which we chose to take out and handle ourselves, bleachers, equipment storage, concession, restroom, press box area, electricity to the site. There's a few miscellaneous things that Coach Perry had emailed me regarding tennis, and then also because it's a baseball softball combination field, we'll have the temporary softball fence that will need to be put up during their season. The items that they have on the bid total $1,046,100. These additional things, bleachers, equipment, storage, concession, electricity to the site, which after talking with Bill yesterday with Empire, is virtually going to be nothing because we've got the power lines that run right through there. The miscellaneous things with tennis and then the softball fence, that's an additional $111,000. And so the number that I've been comfortable with all along regarding what I felt comfortable spending as a district is, as you remember, this is not costing, we're not going into debt to do this. We're not asking the community to pass bond to do this. This is money that we have in reserve that we're able to transfer over to our Fund 4 to accomplish this. The number I've always looked at was 1.2 million, and so we're under that amount. There will be some contingencies, obviously, which we've got some room for that. If the project was to cost the 1.2 million, that would leave us at the end of the 2016-17 school year to be nearly 22% fund balance, which is an equivalent of about $3.8 million unrestricted money. I know the goal as a board has always been to continue staying above 20, and like I said, based on where things are with this year's budget, and then also projected for next year's budget as it is now, we're still well above that 20% amount. And being able to provide a facility for our kids on our school ground that doesn't belong to the city, because there in the past couple of years there's been a lot of fiscal responsibility to allow us to be able to do this. So I'm going to allow you guys to open up any questions as a board for ATG if you have any, and then we can move on from there if after they've had a chance to answer any questions.
Travis, this might be more of a question for you. I've seen a rendering, but have we done any type of spatial site plan?
Probably a question for them.
We've overlaid it on Google Earth
Okay.
to show that, and that's would be our next step. We would do it full topo. We're going to work with, I believe, Grant with the dirt moving part of it. So, Michael. Okay. So once this was approved tonight, that'll be our next step, creating the actual site plan and coming up with the grades. But we have laid it over Google Earth, checked the grades preliminary to see where we're at.
I think the one thing that I'd be most concerned with is ensuring that we're planning for possibly a future football field in that area too. So I just want to make sure.
Yeah, we included that as the
and that was one of the things that Bill had mentioned to me with Empire. He said when we set this, we want to make sure that we set this electric to where it's accessible for any of the potential facilities that will be there so that we don't have multiple meters, and then that ends up costing you more money. And based on the information I gave him and the diagram I showed him with where things were gonna be at, yeah, he didn't have a problem, and he felt like with where we would put the concession, we'd be able to put everything within that so that we didn't have switches all over the poles, and it would be centrally located there. So.
Is the ditch an issue?
Well, I mean, it's gonna be part of the dirt package to correct.
But the footprint does?
Yeah. Yeah, they both fit just fine. And we'll get with Empire and set up the actual, power, what we're gonna need for the football field for the future as well. So we'll get you all that whole package. That way we make sure we have enough, big enough transformer this time versus, replacing it.
Can you give us just a little detail on the warranty coverage and then the service plan that's involved if we sign on with you to do the work?
Sure. ATG is very unique in what we do, because we're here in Missouri, of course, but one thing that we do is we warranty the entire project for 8 years. So your base, your drainage system, the turf itself will have an 8-year warranty on it. We also come out every year and we maintain that for you. So what we'll do every year is come out and do a full inspection of the site, make sure that the base is doing what it's supposed to, make sure that the turf is performing the way it's supposed to perform. During that inspection, we do a full depth cleaning and grooming of the field. Of course, we check, everything from the fence deck to the dugouts to everything. And then we also spend a little more time with your maintenance staff. So every time we come out, we're going to spend probably 4 to 8 hours with the maintenance staff retraining on them and how to make sure the facility stays nice. So it's kind of an insurance policy for us, making sure the facility stays in the condition it needs to for the 8-year period, as well as assisting you guys with that.
And every time you come on site, then that's all included in this upfront?
That's correct.
Great.
That's already part of your package, yes. Yep.
Can you give me an idea from top of dirt subgrade, what is that section through the turf portion?
So once we have our prepared subgrade, we're gonna, of course, work with Michael with the grades, but typically it's shaped like a bowl. You'll have a drain system that goes through the center of it, so the water drains down to the bottom. It's lined with a geotextile fabric, and then we're gonna put in a clean rock drainage system. So the clean rock's gonna kind of look like the reverse, so it'll be thinner on the edges, and it'll get thicker as it goes to the middle. This whole area works like a retention pond. It's an underground retention pond. So it's going to hold the water, store it for a period of time, and then release it. The field itself is going to be designed to drain 27 inches of rain an hour. Obviously, we won't have that. We hope we never have that because we would have a lot more problems than baseball if that ever happens. But it is designed to hold that and release that. And that's part of your DNR requirement, our Clean Water Act that we have now. That's an act that we have to put that in place. So that's all part of that. After we get that clean rock built up, we just go over the top with just some thin chips, and those chips allow us to get out there with our carpet, move around, not leave big footprints. We get to get it as smooth as this rug is right here. And then we, of course, then lay the carpet over the top of it, and then apply the infill into that.
What's the infill consist of?
It's recycled car tires. And that's the most common. Most economical. It's been tested. There's studies, tests everywhere. I know there's been a lot of press about it, but that's, it's press. What we always say is, I've got guys that worked for us now for 20 years. They've been installing rubber, and I haven't lost any of them to the things they're claiming. So.
And that's the infill. Is that just like give me a size? Is it BB size? So
what we do, we're a lot different than most companies. We actually have a blended mesh. So it's 4 different sizes of rubber. And the reason we do that because if I use all small rubber, it compacts and gets hard. If I use all big rubber, it floats and comes to the top. So we use 4 different size mesh rubber, and it's blended and then mixed in all together. And it's everything from the size of not a BB, it actually goes from an 8 millimeter to like a 13 millimeter. Because what we want it to do is play like natural grass. So it's going to perform and play like natural grass. It's just like if you just drug your baseball field and had the dirt, The turf is terracotta, the infield green, so it's just gonna be, everybody who plays on it, like we just did, Couch of the Ozarks. It's amazing when the ball hits, it really acts like a natural surface, but it's consistent. So what the coaches like about it is their players get more confidence because they're not used to that. The ball's making that same hop every single time. So even when they go to the grass fields, it builds their confidence too because they're not expecting that ball to take a crazy hop or do something different, so they stay in front of it. And it really beefs up the defensive stats quite a bit. Mainly, it's playable after a rain. As long as you have lightning, you guys can be out there playing. There won't be any standing water, no ponding, anything like that. You can be out there playing. Still got the 3 guys in the outfield that have to get a little muddy, but other than that.
And the softball fence is part of it.
That was an additional, but that's very minimal. I mean, $1,000, $1,500, it's very reasonable, because you want something that's temporary and you also want something that's collapsible. So you can go a lot higher if you want, but.
Just like that orange construction.
I mean, you can do that. I've seen it made out of
You can do
PVC
that.
pipe and orange
That-
fence, but there's some nicer
Yeah.
stuff than that.
No.
Use the same infield for your field.
We do, yeah.
We discussed, or I think I'd sent you on the lighting
Mm-hmm.
for the tennis courts, that were we gonna try to look at using the same pole
Yes,
that we use for the baseball, softball field, the backside for the tennis?
yes, yeah. That was part of our design. We started, I'll get the lighting guys out here. If it goes into place tonight, first thing we'll do is get Musco Lighting out here and come up with a design for us. And they do it pretty quick, so they'll come up with our different options and see what it is.
That's who, Bill with Empire Musco is who he said was.
Yeah, and they have the best warranty and some very good products, and we do a lot with those guys.
I know Perry had brought up, I don't know how the warranty, I don't know if the warranty that is just on the turf or if it's on everything. I know Perry had brought up at the meeting about Republic's tennis courts that they had to be redone or something, or maybe you were the one who brought that, it said it had to be redone. I mean, that, with us using is that warranted? I mean,
Yeah, the tennis courts have a 5-year warranty
Okay.
on those. That's a standard industry warranty. We can push the acrylics, we don't apply the acrylic ourselves, but I can push them to probably extend that maybe a little. I'll definitely talk to them, but it's a minimum 5 years.
Do you bring a different paving crew to lay that in that's a specialty in that? And
Yeah, we
still-
really do, because we got to pave to an 1/8-inch tolerance, so
So
it needs to
they
be
just-
somebody, typically that has a dozen plus of these underneath their belts, because we've all been to those tennis courts that have the water holes and the ball hits. I mean, we don't want that. That's not, we're gonna check, before they apply the acrylic surface, we're gonna check, we'll be there checking the whole entire time while they're paving as well. But we're gonna be checking every spot. It's not gonna have any water holes standing on
But
it.
is that crew crew that you've used in
Yes.
somewhere else?
Right,
Or is it
and we do a
somebody
little
in this area?
differently, like what I do with the tennis courts is McConnell and Associates is who we were planning on using in this particular one. They actually pave it and apply the acrylic surface. So I put it all in their court, so that way there's not that. So it all comes back to us in the end, but at least from our standpoint, we have one company that's what they specialize in. They've done over 100 tennis courts for us.
And do they buy their mix from around here locally?
They'll have to, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't bring it from very far.
You might want to discuss that a little bit
Okay,
at a later time.
okay.
Because there's some mixes that we need to maybe get away from.
Right. And typically, like what I wrote in the spec and what I already do, like I don't allow any wrap in our mix. And what wrap is recycled asphalt pavement.
Yeah.
And because my opinion of it is there's not enough consistency in that. So sometimes I don't know if they're applying 4% oil or 3% oil or 2% oil. And what we don't want to do with tennis courts, it's not a large asphalt area to begin with. They can make us, new asphalt with a new mix design. And I've not had an issue, and I think APAC is the one we have here, and I've never had an issue with them doing that for us.
Well, you have 4 in this area, probably. But I agree on the shingles, because they do.
I don't like that. I agree with
creates
you.
a false.
Same thing on our tracks. We do the exact same thing when we do the hopefully, you know, from this, we'll go to a football stadium maybe in a few years. Same with the track. One of my specs that I write in there is no recycled asphalt. Because it's just not consistent enough. It's not been proven enough.
You end up with spongy areas.
Well, and the oil prices have come down so much now that shouldn't even be a factor. That's why they started using those things, is to offset that high
And then
asphalt.
MoDOT let them get away with that too.
Right. And MoDOT started putting it on all our roads, and you see what we
You can
got.
see what's happening.
Right. I agree with you 100%.
The only thing I just want to make sure of is what we had talked about on the phone, that the things that wouldn't be, like the turf and things that you guys are managing our outside bidding process of getting locals on that to have our best competitive bids
Right.
for our, you know, our taxpayers.
Our intent is to keep everything as local as we
Yeah.
can, except for things that we just
Right,
have to.
I understand.
But
Yeah.
the majority of things should always, I mean, everything from the lumber, the rock, the asphalt, trucking, all that's gonna have to, you know, it makes sense to use,
Yeah.
and keep them as part of it. I mean, this really becomes a community event. Everyone gets very proud of it, they're very emotionally involved, so it's something we do on every job.
Well, I appreciate it, manager money, so.
Beyond the 8-year warranty and service contract, I mean, what's your estimation for the life of a field like this? And if you have to replace the turf, do you have to go back in and do all the subgrade again, or just primarily the overlay of the turf?
Well, every year when we come out, we always replace your batter's boxes, and we always replace the pitching mound. Even though we're gonna work with you on training, keeping those full of infill, because when the pitcher lands, he pushes that rubber out. Where the catcher digs in, wants to dig in into the rubber, you know, it needs to be a little bit of maintenance there. It's very minimal. But every year, we're gonna we automatically have that plan to replace those batter's boxes, that catcher area, and then the area for the pitching mound. The lifespan of the turf, I mean, you're looking at a 12 to 15-year lifespan. Most schools base it on 10. But we just replaced one, 14 years old. We sold it to somebody else. It was still great shape. So we're going to look for the same things. The things that we look for when we come out is that we're keeping the infill in. And that's the trick, is you got to keep rubber in it. So if we don't have any rubber, we're just playing on carpet. So it'd be like coming in here and playing, and you would imagine what metal spikes would do to this carpet. So it's constant training, constant upkeep, you know, from us to you guys. We have a full maintenance staff. That's their job. They don't do anything else. He comes out, he spends time with your guys constantly. Now, we have a lot in this area, so I would imagine he's coming by way more than once a year, but we guarantee we come once a year. He's going to be over at either Hollister or College of the Ozarks or any of these other ones, and he'll be stopping in. He's very good about, if he's in the area, just stopping in and going, let me check the batter's boxes. Grab the maintenance guy. Hey, we got to do that. We do make up rule signs. We hang those up. We supply that. It's all part of the bid. That kind of explains that same thing as well.
I don't know if I can see it on here or if I haven't. What's your lights, the heights on those?
They're probably going to be 70s and 80s, I would imagine. We have 50-foot candles and 30s. So the infield, I believe, is 50. The outfield is 30s. So there'll be a 6-pole system. So I would imagine you're going to have some. Most times they're between 70 and 80.
Okay.
All depends on the manufacturer and what they design. So. And they come with a 10-year warranty, by the way. You can purchase, you know, they do charge more like to do a 25-year warranty. Kind of in our experience, we don't want to pay that extra money, or we don't want this district to pay that extra money, because typically in 10 years, a lot of us are gone or changed. And people just forget that warranty is, and I go to schools and they have 12-year-old lights with a 25-year warranty, and they're paying someone to put new light bulbs in. So.
Do you supply us with like a as-built when you're done, so that
Absolutely.
we'll know where all the electrical lighting is for?
You'll have a complete engineered as-built. What we do, we obviously supply you with hard copies and disc, but we generally do the zip drives for those. We'll do zip drives, hard disk, and then the actual hard copies. And same with you. I'll actually, and I'll work with you, Michael, to find out what you really want. I mean, if you want me to create I don't know if you're going to use GPS, but if you want me to create the thin file, we can do that in our office. However, you and I can just get that worked
Okay.
out, so.
Yes. That'll work.
Any other questions?
There are a couple things, if the board chooses to move forward. One, given the fact that ATG is part of buy board and they go through the buy board cooperative for bidding, the board would need to approve a resolution to authorizing them to be a part of that buy board cooperative. It's a formality that they ask of. And then the other thing, obviously, would be to approve the bid moving forward with ATG. There's no cost to be a part of the buy board. It's nothing more than an agreement, but there's a copy of the board resolution here that the board would need to approve to be a part of the buy board, and then, like I said, also approving the bid that's been presented here if we choose to move forward with ATG on the project. So, two separate things.
What alternatives are you wanting us to approve all 7 of these alternatives, or?
Yes,
Just
correct.
one?
Yes, it would be the base bid of the $490,000, and then the alternates. Alternate 1, the HD logo; 2, the visitor and home bullpens; 3, the lighting system; 4, the scoreboard; 5, the concrete; 6, the tennis courts; and 7, the lighting for the tennis courts. And that total was, like I said, $1,046,100. And that would be what, at this time, if we move forward with them, that we would be, and those would be not to exceed pricing. If there's things that we can get into less than that with different vendors, then we certainly do, so.
You go that one, bid,
The
what's it called?
board resolution authorizing participation in the Bible cooperative.
You guys have done a lot of work on this, haven't you, Graham, as far as looking at other facilities? I haven't. Yeah. What facilities did you go look at?
We looked at Southern, Joplin, and CVO.
And I've seen Forsyth, talked with superintendent up at St. Genevieve just the other day. I talked with Superintendent Forsyth just this past week, and Jeff Mingus could not say enough good about working with ATG and the quality of the product and the follow-up. And that's, to me, one of the biggest advantages of going this direction with a company like ATG is the follow-up. You go traditional with an architect and then have a GC that works everything. You don't have one person to contact specifically. Once it's done, it's done. And the follow-up has been a huge piece that every person I've talked to has said that they are there, they're checking on you, they're training you. And not only is the end product incredible, but just the people that you work with. When we talk to folks down at Joplin and Southern and CFO, it's so yeah, we went and visited those places, and then I think we spent 3 hours initially, Joe, on a scope, and then another 3 hours in another meeting discussing things. And so not to mention countless texts and phone calls back and forth on things. So I mean, lots of time getting to where we are at this point. So
Make a motion that we approve the proposal by ATG, including the alternates 1 through 7.
I'll second it.
Does that by board resolution need to be included in that?
separate.
No, it was Steve. Voting on the motion, Steve said. We got a motion and a second to approve the bid from ATG Sports. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah,
Make a motion to approve the buy order.
okay.
Resolution, the
Resolution.
board resolution.
Board resolution.
To be a part of the buy board cooperative.
That's what you said, right?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Stephen, okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Absolutely. All right. Is all that correct?
That's correct. That's all you guys need, correct?
Thank you very much, guys. We really appreciate it.
We look forward to
Looking
it.
forward to it. We'll see you tomorrow when you get here.
I can just stay tonight, doesn't make any difference.
Thank you very much.
I know you guys have a long drive. Don't feel like you have to stick around for the rest of the meeting, so we'll get up and leave all the time, so.
Even more than you do.
Even more than
All right, next old business, student drug testing.
Okay, we can proceed one of two ways with student drug testing. Obviously, Mr. Rayford is not here. He needed to be gone for supervision. This can be just tabled. We will have a meeting again on the 18th for reorganization, and there's already been a couple things that we're going to need to put on that open session meeting. If you want to wait until he can be here for that, if there's questions specifically, we can table this and add it to that agenda. Or there can be some things, if you have comments or questions that you want to bring up, Dr. Edis and I can write those things down, take those notes, pass them along then to Mr. Rayford, and then he can address them at the 18th. What do you guys prefer?
Was there any intent for this to start prior to next school year?
No. No, there isn't. What we do want to do is get this drug testing policy handbook approved in a timely manner so that there can be a couple opportunities for parent meetings to get everybody on the same page so that going into summer, everybody knows what's expected. So if you want to table it and wait until the 18th to have any discussions, then that's fine.
I make the motion to table it till Pat's here.
Till 18.
Listen.
Stephen, David, table. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll table that for next month. What we got next?
Okay, construction bids. If you remember last month, I'd made a recommendation for the board to reject the exterior work on the property at 201 South Madison, which is currently our West Bank, so that we could rebid this as brick repair, but then have the elastomeric coating applied. We got 3 bids in. You'll see those in your packet. One from Matlock Painting, 24/6, Midland Restoration, 18,840, and MTS Contracting, 41,745. Couple notes that I put on there, the warranties that were given on that. MTS was a company who has done some tuck pointing and brick sealing for the district before. Obviously, with that being so high, it wasn't something that I would even consider. Prior to submitting a bid, I never even heard of Midland Restoration at all. And part of what they were asked to do is submit references, which they did not. If you remember right, they were way low on the last bid, but they didn't include the same number of brick repairs the rest of them did. So it left me some concerns there. Matlock Painting, as you'll see in my notes, Matlock is a company that I've got personal experience using as a principal and superintendent over the last 8 years at different districts. They do incredible work. They are great to work with and for, knowing that they will probably be starting this project prior to, they would, if they get approved, would start this before the folks at RVS would be out. I have no concerns with there being any issues with them down there. You know, the question always comes up, how good it really is a warranty. There have been times when just for whatever factors, I've had to contact them and have them come back and look at some things. Never an issue. So it's, what the statutes say is that the district is expected to approve the lowest and most responsible bid. Even though Matlock isn't the lowest cost, in my opinion, based on the work that I personally know that they do and will do for us, I feel it's the most responsible, and so that would be my recommendation, to approve the bid of Matlock Painting for $24,600.
And you said Midland didn't have any references sent?
None.
I make the motion to accept Matlock Painting's bid for $24,600.
Second.
Okay, motion second, on the painting, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Second construction bid that was rejected last month was the roofing bid. Given the information that we had received regarding the information from Precision Roofing, which actually had bid this project, again, as you'll see, that's the only bid you see in the packet, because for whatever reason, none of the other three that bid prior to this rebid the project, which didn't make a lot of sense to me, because the only thing they needed to do was take off the labor cost to give us another bid if they wanted to on an overlay. I spent about 45 minutes talking with John Hudson on the phone with Precision Roofing. The thing that I want to point out is the notes that he has listed for option 2 in that document, with a potentially wet roof system. And as you know, going back to the fact that we did do a thermal scan, which we felt there was moisture, but after taking 3 cores from the roof, 3 separate cores, there was no moisture found. And when I spoke with John, he was pretty confident that there wasn't moisture, but with a potentially wet roof system, a roof overlay is typically not an option due to the potential for new roof fasteners to rust and fail over time. This project, however, has been submitted and approved for a V2T system installation, which is 100% applicable and appropriate in this instance, and does have any system risk associated with potentially wet roof overlay. The manufacturer warranty in this instance reads no differently than a standard mechanical fastening installation warranty. In essentially this V2T system, when he says that it has been submitted and approved, before this company that makes this system will even allow a construction company to apply this, the layout, everything about the roof has to be sent to the company, and they approve it before they'll even allow it. And this system is actually held down by wind. And as it continues to blow, the more it continues to essentially vacuum itself down. There's no fasteners on the inside that can fail over time if it's wet. It still holds a 20-year warranty. It's a 60 mil overlay TPO system, and they'll retrofit all the drains, take care of curbing, get the edge of the metal, the perimeter roofing. And I asked him about, I know Steve had brought up concern with weight, and he said no, after taking the core, he said there's no concern there whatsoever with weight. And going this route, which is why we rejected him last month, potentially saves the district $25,000 to $30,000. And you get the same warranty, and he said there's a no dollar limit warranty, and what that means is if you go 19 years on this, not only is the material, but also the labor of everything is covered under this warranty. And you go 19 years, it's not, I can't think of the word.
Priced in future dollars. Appreciated.
Right, exactly. And so you get whatever it's worth at that time, and you get a brand new roof. You don't get 1/20th of the replacement cost. It's brand new. It starts over. So it's a great product and a great system that I think will give us a really, really good roof for a lot of years. So my recommendation would be to accept the precision roofing, for, option 2, which is the overlay TPO roof system. And if you need a dollar amount, it's $40,239.95. Remember, when we went into negotiation with this building, we were thinking anywhere from $50,000 to $60,000 this was going to cost, and so we're getting in less. So,
Did I already hear a motion and a second? You? Grant made the motion, Mark said. I didn't hear a word of that. All right, we got a motion second for the roof. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Quick question. At your convenience, could you provide us, or me, or whoever else might be interested, now that we've got a paint tuck point number and a roof number, and of course, a purchase cost, a total and a cost per, and how that is a cost per square foot?
I can.
Because I think we got a real bargain.
Yep.
Got that money tonight, though. We have to be out of money tonight.
Okay, any new business?
Yeah, new business, rural schools development grant.
Ms. Mobley and Mr. Bettler?
You're just going back up, is that what you said? Want to? We basically just want to give you a heads up and maybe get your blessing, and maybe a board member as a member on our panel. We've been working on some grants and received a National Rural Schools Partnership Grant a couple weeks ago. Dr. Shaw is going to be gracious enough to go accept it for us on Friday. Part of the plan involves possibly using the armory and storing memorabilia, pictures, trophies. If you remember Bob Jernigan frantically looking for his trophy in the fall when we had our playoff game and he couldn't find it. We finally found it, but we had found that we had stuff stored all over the district. So part of our plan was to develop an alumni center area at the Armory where we could house, curate, showcase, kind of build that hound dog tradition and keep it all in one place. And then the other side, we wanted to do some STEM CTE stuff where we could do makerspace, workshops, classrooms, all kinds of things for pre-K through 12 and involve the community as well. Obviously, the $1,250 grant that we received initially isn't going to cover all those costs, so we've got plans to apply for about 29 more. Mr. Bettler applied for one last week.
Last Friday. Put in for a CTE, $20,000. Well, it's $200,000 total for 10 different schools, and over the next 6 weeks we'll have some classes to look at online, participate in, and then we kind of develop a more solid plan, and then they judge off of that solid. There's a little bit more better laid out plans on who gets the money.
Part of the criteria for this grant that we're receiving this Friday, we have to have some signage. We have to start showcasing some of the information. We have to show that we have partnerships in the community and that those partnerships involve civic organizations, people that have graduated in the past and also have an interest in promoting that tradition and that history. So we'd like to have a board member as a member of our advisory panel, and we'd like your blessing to keep applying for grants and kind of push forward. If you have questions or concerns, we'll try to answer them as well.
Just going in that area where we're vacating the admin offices out of, is that what we're doing?
That was my thought. I started begging Dr. Shaw back in the fall when I heard that we got the other building, and he informed me, don't laugh, he informed me that nobody in the whole town wanted it but me. And I
You're
just...
the only one that's asked, so.
Well, okay, maybe so. I don't want to brag about how old I am, but I was on the committee that was in the city in 1992 that gave it to the school, so
I sort of feel like I ought to die there. It's a perfect spot. It's probably not big enough to house all the memorabilia that we have stashed all over town, but it's a starting place, and it's a place that I envision people in the community, you know, it's not a place where we'll be attending a lot of ball games, but we could open it up for reunions. We could have tours there. Obviously, if we've got classes going on the other side, we'll have people coming and going. It's kind of the most likely spot right now to me, unless we can figure out a way to use the silos at the mill. I don't know. I kind of want those too. Haven't asked for them yet.
Looking for an Aurora alumni?
It doesn't have to be an Aurora alumni. It just needs to be.
I would be honored.
I would appreciate it. That would be awesome.
I mean, I think it's a great idea.
Yep.
I think it's well needed. Nothing else, just kind of know we got everything under.
Well, you know, even
one
Marionville
spot.
has a Hall of Fame. We need something like that too. Aren't you in it?
No, I don't think so.
I thought you were in the Hall of Fame.
I don't think so. Keep rejecting that application every year, I don't know. I'll be happy to help. You know, I've got a lot of experience in renovating relics.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Anybody else have any questions? Scotty, I'm gonna put
Great
you
idea.
down, Mark. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for all the work.
You bet.
Just put me on the work committee, though.
Do what? I don't know how to do that. I did on my old one.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, I know what it is.
That was paid. 10 minutes at home for that.
No, it's not.
New business, B, road connecting Terrace to College at Pate.
Okay, in your packet, I was approached a few weeks ago by the city. I told them I would bring this up to the board and I would get your opinion on this to see what you think. The Google shot that I gave you in the highlighted yellow, that is actually the piece of road that connects College to Terrace that is owned by the school district. They approached me to see, is that something that we want to continue having, or is it something that we would want to deed over to them and allow the city to essentially own that. I don't know what the board feels about it. I don't know that there's been any issues regarding that from a school standpoint. Obviously, if it's ours, we have to maintain, we have to fix, eventually new asphalt, all those kind of things with it. If it doesn't belong to us, then we don't have all those things. Now, if it's ours, we technically have a right to say who drives on that and who doesn't. If it becomes a city, then cities and we no longer have that right. They currently, when they do clean the roads on College and Terrace, they just continue on through there and do clean that. When we have to have our parking lots cleaned, that according to them is they do take care of that road as if it was theirs. So I don't know if there's any advantage to deeding it over to them. If we don't even want to consider it, this can be a short conversation, we can move on. But I told them when they asked about it that obviously that wasn't my decision, but that would be something to bring up to the board.
I would say that the maintenance issue with the road, that would be good to release out of our hands. And the second thing is cars, traffic is going to use that no matter what. And that being said, that if you have something bad that happens right there with cars, your attorneys are going to end up coming after us eventually, once they start digging and researching.
Well, right, once they know that that's our property.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't see why it wouldn't be good just to deed it to the city. Would be my opinion. I didn't even know that we had it.
The other issue would be with the number of accesses we have, driveways, parking lots. I assume we could do deed restrictions to where they couldn't come back in the future and limit any access that we have to that road. That would be something I would want to have included, would be the deed restrictions that were specific to our bus patterns, our traffic patterns there at the school.
Splits our property in pieces there. For that reason, I'm not in favor of it. I mean, or one parking lot's on the other side of it. We can't close that road if the city owns it. If we have a reason that we want to have that parking area opened up for some purpose. I'm not a big fan. I think the amount of asphalt we got there is minimal compared to what as a district we take care of. And I'm just not a big fan.
Used to, Pete would have their play date last of school outside on that road, it included that road, they could close it off. If the city has it, they won't be able to close it off.
I think the city will let you close it.
Well,
They
you'd
close
have to ask
it, they
every,
close it.
it depends on who's in charge of the city at
Well,
the time.
yeah, I mean, they
Just
close
like
it
that.
for their
I wouldn't take the chance.
5Ks and things like that.
Yeah,
I'm against it.
we're talking about 200-300 yards of asphalt, 400 yards of asphalt.
You're talking, that's probably a quarter, isn't it? Quarter of a mile?
That's about 400 yards.
I mean,
I don't have a scale here to be able to tell.
What would they do? How would they allow us to keep, the parents keep parking there waiting to pick up their kids? Right now, they park on that
They
road
block the road every day.
every day. Are they gonna allow that? Not if it's a city street?
That is true.
If it belongs to them, they would have a right to say that has to change.
Right.
I mean, it's backed up all the way out into college.
I mean, it's backed up clear on to their property
Yes.
right now.
Yeah.
so what are they gonna do about it?
Well, they put no parking
So they
signs.
can't do that. I mean, they can keep them from doing it.
Why, do you know, is there a reason to bring this
See,
request?
that was my question, what was their motivation for coming to us?
It got brought up after they came to me. There are 6 stop signs there. Is that right, Dr. King? 6 or 4? 6. And there's a highway patrolman that lives, I believe, in that neighborhood there just to the south. And he had approached city council at a meeting and stated that the stop signs were not regulation height, nor were the signs themselves regulation dimension. So they came to talk with me, and they were willing to come in, remove the signs, put the new ones back in, if we took care of the material cost to do that, so that they would be in compliance. Which obviously I want them in compliance, because if they're not, they're too short, if they're not big enough, then it could be a safety issue. And then again, here we are with liability, that we don't have something that's in compliance. The cost was minimal, it was about $500 in between poles and signs. And so I said, yes, let's take care of it. From that conversation, they brought up this other issue. They didn't have necessarily any motive behind why they brought it up, or I'm sure there is a motive. There's a motive for everything, obviously, so.
So where do we stand with the liability? I mean, I know we've probably skirted it, but do you see that being a concern?
It's a driveway. It's no different to Robinson, where they pull around through Robinson.
Well, the difference is you have public traffic going through there. And you don't just have your kids going to school, your parents. You have regular traffic that's.
Here's where that lies. Here's an example.
That's all I'm asking.
We had an accident at Robinson earlier in the year.
Okay.
The accident happened on property, therefore, there actually was 2 accidents. There was a fender bender, and then there was actually a high school student that was outside of the vehicle got hit by another high school student. And because it was on property, there has been legal action sought, and our liability insurance stepped right in and and the attorneys that work for our liability are involved in this. So.
Because of that, yeah.
Because it was on school property, but yet it involved a traffic accident. This would be the same situation. If there's a traffic accident in that area, then it would be our liability insurance that would be getting involved if there was some kind of a lawsuit.
Then both those accidents involve students and or parents coming on the property to do business, to pick up or
Correct.
leave. I mean, these aren't people just passing through, and I don't know why anybody would make that route to go from point A to point B when you can go up to the stop sign and turn left.
You have all the houses.
I mean, I'm
in
sure
front.
they do, but there's the houses that are up in there, other than the people that live there. I mean, I'm saying,
And I think that may be part of the issue, the motive for why they were there. If somebody, you know, wrecked or whatever, I mean, that would be something obviously the attorneys would have to figure out. But it is an extension of our campus, and so yes, if anything that happens on our campus potentially becomes where our liability insurance has to get involved.
That's my only concern, just liability.
I see both sides of it. I don't know that there's enough, and I've not been here near as long as all of you have, and so if it's not been a history of a problem, I don't know that it's something we necessarily would want to change, but I wanted to bring it up for discussion since it was requested from the city, so.
Is that a motion?
If there's enough division and somebody wants to do it, and a motion is made to second, then there will be a vote, and then at that point, it's the will of the board.
I necessarily don't, I just want to bring up our liability side, and if it was the maintenance, wherever everybody else.
I make a motion not to do it.
yeah, we don't have to do that. You can't make a negative
We don't
motion.
need a negative motion.
Yeah.
It sounds like to me, the overall consensus is leave it as is. Okay.
I mean, if you want to make a statement, you make the motion. You
Do we need to do
defeat-
like any, I mean, now knowing this, I mean, even though it's been there for years, of any type of other signs, just warnings that would help,
Private road,
something that would
something like
protect
that.
our.
I mean, just to notify them that this is not a
Yeah.
city street.
Is there something you check with the
Through traffic
side?
I can check on that.
Just, it might help us.
I think that's a good idea. I think I've seen that at the school. No through traffic or something like that.
Something.
I
You know,
find
school property only.
I find it very hard to believe that the city of Aurora is commenting on our sign compliance. As a civil engineer that knows a little bit about
And we're probably not mandated, are we, Dave?
the street and sidewalk
Under-
construction and
Under the same guidelines as the city and the county and the state on private property?
you know, we are our own political subdivision.
Yeah.
We established that, didn't we?
Once.
Okay, we can move on from that. Thank you for your input.
Okay.
The architectural agreement that you got in your packet, this is an agreement that actually up until January of this year, we had an agreement with Sam Wynn and Associates. This is the AIA document. It's a standard form agreement. Essentially what this is the cost related to it. It is an agreement that because of the work that they have been doing for us regarding the potential FEMA building at the high school / event center. They basically have said we'd like to get back into agreement with the district that any future projects that would require an architect, that we have an agreement that we will use them for the next 2 years. Like I said, looking back to the files, there had been addendums made to the initial agreement with them multiple times, and it expired in January, and so this is, like I said, just an agreement that says if we want to use an architect for a project, that we will continue using Sam Wynn and Associates.
I make a motion to continue, or to contract to use Sam Wynn and Associates.
Dave and Mark. Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed?
Okay, last item would be to, this is the only approval that, as far as a transfer goes, that the board has to make, and that would be to transfer the 7% maximum transfer from Fund 1, which is our operating fund, over to Fund 4, which is the capital projects fund. Last year, a fund transfer was not made due to the money that was still remaining from the bond, but this allows us to, in order to do any capital projects, like for example, a baseball, softball complex and tennis courts, the money has to be in Fund 4. I found out this week that there were some people that read this on the agenda and thought that we were transferring money from Title I to Title IV. And that's the first I'd heard of that. We're not transferring money from Title I to Title IV. This is a Fund 1 operating transfer to Fund 4 capital projects. And so this actually represents a 7% fund transfer for our district represents $924,040. And so we simply need to move the money from 1 to 4 so that we can access that money for the purpose of construction.
So moved.
Second.
Mark and Jack. Motion, second. Okay. All right, got a motion and a second to transfer some money from one fund to the other. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes, done. I was just gonna win. All right, next is reports. First up, AEA report, Becky Thresher and Sandra Crockett. Got anything to add?
Nope. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Yeah. New co-presidents. Lucky you girls.
Yes.
I think we drew the short straw.
Yes.
Again. Any board got anything to them? Next, Sodexo Food Service. She is gone.
Yeah, Debbie's out, she had meetings today.
Okay. Lance will field all questions. Next up is Lance.
We need to really have some really detailed questions some night when he's filling in for her to ask about food service.
That's true. That's true. Nothing for Lance. Next, building principals, Pate, Dr. King.
Nothing to add.
Nothing to add. If anybody's got a question, jump in there. Excuse me. Next, Robinson Elementary, Mr. Mays.
Thank you.
Robinson Intermediate, Mr. Bax.
Started map testing yesterday, it's going well. Well, it's a big event, so.
Yeah, map testing. My sixth graders home in bed asleep, I'm sure. Junior high, Dr. Murphy Pope.
Nothing to add.
Mr. Colton's not here. You make anything high school? No. Athletic director, Mr. Rayford. Not here. Transportation director, Ms. Nash.
Nothing to add.
Special education director, Dr. Lakin.
Nothing to add.
Assistant superintendent, Dr. Reedus.
Everything was included, unless you had a question.
Man. You're not throwing a wrench in it.
I got two things. Just a reminder, April 18th, we will do reorganization of the board that night. The normal 6:30 meeting. We'll start with 6:30 closed session because we need to do our winter sports coach hirings with the current board and any other hiring that needs to be done that has come between now and then we will go into reorganization in the open. So please make sure you have that on your calendars. That will be basically the last date. Well, I shouldn't say that. The last date will be a Wednesday of that week, but we'll get that taken care of. And we'll have a few things that we'll have on the open session as well. And the other thing, which I think is exciting for us, I got a call today from Governor Nixon's office, and they have requested if they could come Thursday at 1 o'clock here at the high school. And he wants to meet with the administrative team and then also a group of graduating seniors, and then also have somewhat of a brief press time. But due to the 20-point jump in our APR from 2014 to 15, he wants to come and recognize the Aurora School District for that achievement. So he will be here with his Secret Service and the whole gamut Thursday at 1 o'clock. So board, if you're available to be over around that time. Like I said, he's going to have a round table in here with 10 to 12 graduating seniors. They're going to be going to school at Missouri 2-4 vocational schools, and then he'll have, like I said, a PR time. And I would imagine that the press from Springfield and local will be here at that time. So good thing for our district, and a neat opportunity for our kids to be able to sit down and talk with him. So I was going to be at the DAR essay that day at 1 o'clock, and I'm sorry, Ms. Mobley.
You were supposed to take us to lunch.
Governor Nixon is going to take priority. I'm sorry.
I know, I get it.
You're being riffed.
Thursday.
This
Thursday, 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
This Thursday.
Their timing is like, they call you and they say, can you do it? And we say, we'll make it work. So they'll be here at 1 o'clock. That's all I got.
Michael, it's been a pleasure the last 3 years. I don't know if we get a chance at the close next session.
Yeah, thank you. Board of Education, got anything other than that? Yes. Yeah, it's a big thank you to Michael. He's officially retiring after his time.
He's got closed session he gets to deal with.
Yeah, one more.
I see a breath of fire.
All right, nothing else, nothing further.
I've been on and off 3 times, Michael. It can be done. You know, take 2 years and
I might be back next year.
no problem.
Nothing else to close.
No
I
problem.
make a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn. It is adjourned.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Mark and Shelley. Joe, nice to meet you.
Very sharp. Very thorough.